What lies beyond? Just as modern man reaches into outer space, primitive man searches beyond his horizons, finding new and terrifying creatures in his prehistoric world. Massive beasts, his simple weapons only anger. Killer dogs he had not yet learned to tame. His courage proves the teenage caveman all man, winning for him a woman's love.
We could make a place to lie down on, a space above the floor so the cold couldn't reach us as we slept.
A love pure and passionate and pagan, strengthening his courage, his daring, his dreams.
I came to give this earth to the clan.
See the awe-inspiring beasts in a teenage caveman's world. See reptilian monsters locked into the death battle.
We're not talking about actors. We mean a real monster.
I brought her back. She'll live and I'll get her another body.
I know they're going to catch me, but don't let anyone see me like that. Please, Doctor, help me!
Biologically speaking, it's of primary importance that man should want to mate. Hey, that
You don't get all your kicks from surfing, do you?
We want to be free to ride our machines without being hassled by the man. And we want to get loaded.
You think you're going to make a slave of the world? I'll see you in hell first!
The American International Podcast.
Are you ready?
Welcome to the American International Podcast. I'm Jeff Markin.
I'm Cheryl Lightfoot.
And this week we've unearthed a prehistoric parable of rebellion from Roger Corman. That's right, we're talking about Teenage Caveman from 1958.
Teenage Caveman was directed by Roger Corman, written by R. Wright Campbell, and produced by Roger Corman for Malibu Productions.
Teenage Caveman stars Robert Vaughn as the cymbal maker's teenage son, Darah Marshall as the blonde maiden, Leslie Bradley as the cymbal maker, Frank Kova as the black-bearded one, Charles Thompson as the Seer, June Jocelyn as the cymbal maker's wife, Jonathan Haze as the curly-haired boy.
It also stars Beach Dickerson in 4 roles. He's the fair-haired boy, the man from the Burning Plains, the tom-tom player, and the bear, and Ed Nelson as the blonde tribe member, Robert Shayne as the firemaker, Marshall Bradford and Joseph H. Hamilton as tribe members, and Barbara Morris as a young female tribe member, although she is uncredited.
Teenage Caveman starts with a narrator telling us that in the beginning there was chaos and eternal night, and a voice said, "Let there be light," and the dark was separated from the light. There was created the waters and the land, and they were made the sun to rule the day, and the moon to rule the night, and the stars to give light to the darkness. The earth was made to bear growing green things and fruit. The animals were created, and they were fruitful and multiplied. And then there came man.
I believe they cribbed some of this from the Bible. And it's some old-fashioned font. It's not papyrus, but it's similar. We see the title, Teenage Caveman. And then the cast list. There's a lot of Corman favorites here. And Albert Glasser provides the typically bombastic soundtrack.
After the credits and the film opens, we see curly-haired boy Jonathan Haze leading a group of fellow cave people. They're a hunting party and going through what appears to be Griffith Park.
Well, it appears to be because it is. And just a word, nobody in this movie has an actual name. And so I think when Jeff and I were taking notes, we each ascribed a different name to the same character. So hopefully you'll be able to follow along regardless. This is our second movie in a row where the characters didn't have given names. Movies not giving names to characters is not a trend I want to continue.
The hunt seems to have been successful because 2 men are carrying a dead deer, and as they arrive into their settlement, the children of the village are all excited to see it, and they start petting the deer as it's dragged through the village.
Hey, people like to eat. The cymbal maker, don't ask us what that means, asks his wife where the boy is. And in the beginning of the movie, she doesn't talk. She just stretches her arms out into the distance.
Beyond the river, he asks. She nods, and he sets off to retrieve his wayward son.
And he finds him. The cymbal maker's son, or Sonny, as I might be calling him, is just standing there outside the bounds of where the law allows him to be. At first, the son doesn't even seem to recognize his father and holds him at spear point. But then he starts up with a toddler routine, asking why. Why this? Why that? Why does the law keep them from the land across the river?
The boy imagines what it's like beyond the river, but the cymbal maker knows what's out there. Creatures unlike any the boy has ever seen or imagined, including a god that kills with its touch.
And including some dinosaurs if the stock footage that we're shown is any indication. The cymbal maker calls it a place that promises much but delivers only death, and that his son should keep to this side of the river.
Then the cymbal maker takes the boy back to their settlement and declares that he will have to make cymbals for the next hunt. It doesn't really seem to be necessary to me, but I guess it keeps himself relevant in this society. It gives him a job to do. He makes symbols and then they have a successful hunt.
Is it like being the storyteller? Is it like a magic act? Is this like the precursor to working in Hollywood? I shouldn't ask. We'll never find out. And now we meet some of the other characters that live in the settlement. There's a bearded man, played by Frank Kova, and he's giving the son a dirty look. And he comments to the blonde maiden standing next to him that the son will never perform the rites of manhood. She doesn't really answer this, and she turns away. And then the symbol maker's son joins them. Then his mother tells the maiden to come with her.
So then the boy goes to question the elders, the keepers of the gifts.
There are 3 old men busying themselves with seemingly inconsequential tasks.
He questions them about the law and crossing the river. They have no answer except that's just the way it is.
It's the way we've always done it.
The black-bearded one appears again, and he encourages the boy questioning them. What he's trying to do is just get him riled up.
Well, he says that he used to ask the same dumb questions. And then we find out the 3rd elder is tasked with building clay towers and then smashing them down again for the same dumb reason, just because.
The black-bearded one tells the boy that nothing can be learned in this place, but it will take a brave, strong man to venture beyond the river to learn more.
And for some reason, this bearded guy really has it in for the son of the symbol maker for reasons that are never adequately explained. And now the seer, who's probably the oldest guy in the settlement, announces that soon there will be 2 symbol makers and tells us that the symbol makers are the dreams of the people, the tellers to God, the death, the life, the keepers of fire.
Basically, they're the ones who communicate the people's wishes to the gods, and the god grants them.
Or not.
Or not, based on the whim of the gods.
I was just going to say that.
When the elder's speech is done, the symbol maker and his son go into the cave to start making them symbols.
But the son has more questions. Why are we the symbol makers? How long have we been the symbol makers? Do the symbols really make the animals come to the hunters? And the father grows irritated at his grown son and tells it that it's forbidden by the law to question the signs and mysteries of the gods.
He asks his son if he's asked others in the tribe besides himself, and the boy nods. They tell me nothing, he says. The symbol maker tells him that the law is the law is the law, but the boy has one more question. He wonders about the creature that kills with its touch. Has his father seen it? The symbol maker says no, but the symbol maker before him showed it to him. Show me, says the boy, and the symbol maker slaps some paint on the wall of the cave, all the while saying that the law is in place to protect the tribe.
But he describes it, and it sounds very much like the blood beast from the movie Night of the Blood Beast. Spoiler alert.
He did not, did he?
Yeah, he did. Like, it was taller than a man. It had long claws. It was covered in fur that no spear would penetrate. Well, it does sound very much like a blood beast. It rules all things and kills all things. And then the father reminds his son that unless they live by the law, death will come for them all, and tells him to wonder no more. But the son still wonders about stuff.
When the 2 exit the cave, the elder declares that the symbols have been made, and when the fire comes back into the sky, the hunting party will go out and hunt.
Oh, you mean tomorrow?
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow does come, and the men of years, the ones who aren't boys anymore, go to the woods. And as they're looking around for something to kill, they're shaking maracas.
And almost immediately, they are attacked by a guy in a bear suit.
No, it's a real bear, I swear. They spear it, but not before it mauls the symbol maker.
But we cut away, and next we see that the party is returning to the settlement, along with the now dead bear.
And the symbol maker on a stretcher. When they get back to the settlement, the seer tends to the symbol maker's wounds with their primitive leaf-based medicine. As this is going on, the symbol maker's son goes outside the cave to keep wondering about stuff.
The bearded man stops him. Another hurt in the hunt, he says. This time your own blood. He once again encourages the boy to travel beyond the river and explore what is there.
A single man could bring back as much game as a whole hunting party could do here.
But this is the bearded man scheming because he knows that the penalty for disobeying this law is death, and he has eyes on taking over as leader of the settlement. But the boy isn't stupid and asks if the punishment for venturing beyond the river isn't death. The bearded man confirms that it is, but tells the boy that the discoveries to be made and the end of his curiosity would make it well worth any risk. He says he'd go himself if it wasn't for his bum leg, and he limps away to sit with the elders,
leaving the son of the symbol maker looking skeptical. The bearded man is talking to the elder, who tends the small fire for reasons no one can explain. He asks him what is the penalty for questioning the law. The fire tender says that all there will shun him. They may not give their voice to him, and he to them. And then the bearded man asks about breaking a law which leads to any harm coming to anyone in the tribe. Death, says the tender of the fire.
Nearby, several of the younger tribesmen are play battling each other with sticks. Curly-haired Jonathan Haze wins and gives his stick to the symbol maker's son. The son tries to give a pep talk to them, to venture with them past the river, but they're all law-abiding citizens, and a little superstitious at that. One mentions the creatures over there are as big as caves. The boy counters that the creatures are so big and they are so little, they won't see them.
He has a counter-argument for every one of their reservations, including the god that gives death with its touch. Have they ever seen that god that gives death with his touch? None of them can say that they have. And eventually the son prevails and gets one, and then another to agree to go with him on the venture. The ones who don't go with him say they're going to stay there so they will be able to tend to their bodies, if there's anything left of them.
The next morning, the group sets out. They cross the river and cautiously continue.
It's really funny. In the background, there are ducks swimming in the river. Regular ducks swimming around. Not prehistoric ducks, not dinosaur ducks. Just cute little ducks.
They cross the river and continue through the forest. They hear creatures growl, but they continue on.
Curly-haired Jonathan Haze wants to go back, but son of the Symbol Maker refuses. He is there to give this land to their tribe.
The boy chips some wood from a tree and blows into it. He's made a couple of whistles. The other boys laugh at his ingenuity, but they are interrupted by a big lizard fight.
Yes, some lizards from another movie are wrestling as the tribe throws spears at them to no effect. They take cover behind a fallen tree as the battle progresses.
When the coast is clear, they head off again. But the fair-haired boy falls into the sinking earth, which looks like water.
But I guess it's quicksand, and he's swallowed up by that as the others ineffectually try to help. They hand him a fragile stick to pull on, and when that doesn't work, well, I guess they tried. And the son of the Symbol Maker gets scolded by the curly-haired boy.
Now we're back at the settlement, and the women announce the return of the scouting party. Only the Symbol Maker's son doesn't appear to be with them.
Nor does the fair-haired boy.
The Symbol Maker's son has stayed behind to continue his journey of exploration. He sees a squirrel in a tree and throws a rock at it. It will make a good meal for him. But we see the squirrel isn't the only animal about. There are also more big lizards and a giant armadillo.
The son of the Symbol Maker pulls some brush into a pile. He starts a fire and cooks his skinned squirrel.
As he's cooking his squirrel, a creature approaches that resembles the Blood Beast from Night of the Blood Beast. The boy pulls a stick out of the fire and waves the torch at the creature.
And when that doesn't work, he tears off into the woods, running face first into a tree and falling flat on his back. He is out.
Back at the settlement, the elder announces that the Symbol Maker has awakened.
His blood is clean.
His wife runs into the cave to see him. The Symbol Maker immediately asks to see his son, and his wife tells him that he isn't there.
She's pretty vague about it. When did he leave? A time ago. Where did he go? Beyond the river. The Symbol Maker wants to know exactly how long he's been gone, so she finally gives him a straight answer. 2 risings of the sun ago, and all of the clan knows, because he took others with him. The Symbol Maker unsteadily pulls himself to his feet and staggers out of the cave.
He's immediately accosted by the dark-bearded man. Your son has broken the law and gone beyond the river. What are you going to do about it? The Symbol Maker just ignores him, pushes past him, and calls out to the curly-haired boy. He asks the boy to tell him his side of the story. And Jonathan Haze tells him that his son took a whole bunch of them out past the river. They saw terrible things. Great beasts fighting. They lost the fair-haired boy to the earth, and the Symbol Maker's son didn't return with them.
The bearded man interjects that the son must be dead, but even so, he has cursed them all. The Symbol Maker doesn't believe that his boy is dead and vows to go look for him when he is strong, or at the sun's 3rd rising, whichever comes first, I guess.
He grabs a stick to illustrate the sun rising on the ground.
Well, first he throws some flour on the dust.
I thought it was cocaine.
I don't know. Chalk?
You don't do that with cocaine.
I don't know what they do with cocaine on prehistoric Earth. Over on the other side of the river, the Symbol Maker's son is still KO'd, but he wakes with a headache this big and then drunkenly stumbles about.
He picks up a stick from the ground and takes it to a low-hanging branch. He breaks off a piece of the branch, ties a string to each end, and invents a bow and arrow.
And then he looks for something to kill with it. He shoots an arrow, and it looks like he's successful because he takes his knife to finish off whatever he shot.
Now we're back at the settlement, and as promised, the Symbol Maker heads out in search of his son. He crosses the river. Meanwhile, we see the boy has been successful in his hunt. The bow and arrow have served him well, and he has a deer he's carrying over his shoulders. Unfortunately, a pack of wild Great Danes chases him.
Yeah, they've picked up on the scent of the carcass he's carrying. The Great Dane, German Shepherds, etc. chase him, and he drops the deer. A few of the dogs stop for a nosh on the deer, but the other one wants a fresh kill, and so catches up to the son, biting his arm.
The boy pulls out his knife, but before he can use it, his father shows up and puts his spear into the dog.
Aww.
Then without a word, he drags his son back to the settlement.
Back at the settlement, the bearded one is serving as the prosecutor, charging the son with breaking the law, and he's proposing a sentence. The son of the Symbol Maker must die. There is widespread agreement by the tribe, and everyone cheered. And then the Symbol Maker speaks in his son's defense. Sure, he broke the law, but the gods haven't come as was foretold, at least not yet.
So he suggests that they wait until something happens, and then they can kill him if they want.
The bearded one doesn't like this at all. But Pop says that, for now, the son shall be seen as dead to the tribe, meaning no one can talk to him, and he may talk to no one, until he reaches manhood.
Let's just treat him like he's dead. The Seer seems to think this sounds fair, and announces that this is how they're going to handle it. No, shouts the black-bearded man as he jumps up and attacks the boy. He comes at the boy with a spear, and the boy grabs a torch in defense. The boy goes down, and the black-bearded man throws his spear. The boy rolls out of the way just in time and picks up his bow and arrow. As he draws back his bow, the seer calls it off and sends everyone back to their caves.
Then the son and the blonde maiden share what seems to be a moment, but honestly to me, she just looks disappointed in him.
Later, the blonde maiden strips down to go for a swim. As the boy comes by, blowing his whistles, he's tied them together to create a kind of pan flute. She starts to leave, and he tells her to stay.
Under the spray of the waterfall, you can see it stinging her eyes.
He says he knows they're not supposed to talk to each other since he's dead to her and all, but maybe she'd like to hear some music?
That's such an old move. It's old as prehistory. She slinks off to get dressed, and seconds later she appears dressed with bone-dry hair. He tries to convince her of the desirability of the land across the river. She tells him no, she's not going there, and voices her regrets at speaking to him before he's reborn with the rights of manhood.
The boy says he can't help but wonder about the things that he's seen beyond the river, and he's going to go back there someday. She says if he goes out there a second time, he'll be killed for sure.
And then she tells him to wonder no more, but we can see by his face that he's always going to be wondering.
Then someone shouts from the village about a strange creature approaching. The women are ordered back into the cave. The boy says it's a beast from beyond the river. What it is a man on horseback, but they think that this is just one creature.
They're all freaking out, especially the bearded man, but the son of the symbol maker rightfully points out that this strange beast is just a man riding another beast. But they don't believe that such a thing is possible, so they start hurling spears at him.
These things just don't happen.
Nothing I've ever seen before.
Stones are thrown, and the man is toppled from the horse. The horse runs away. The others are quick to try to kill the newcomer, but the boy intervenes. He says they have much to learn from this man, but the black-bearded man takes issue with that. The man from Burning Plains awakens and says, "Peace," to which the black-bearded man responds by spearing the man in the chest.
The symbol maker looks disgusted, but the bearded one is unrepentant. The symbol maker tells his son that, even though he feels very strongly about it, the life of the man from the Burning Plains wasn't worth the life of his own son. The symbol maker's son laments the knowledge that they will never get from the man who said peace. The symbol maker demands that they build a cairn for the stranger to bury him, but the bearded one strenuously objects.
So now there's a meeting of the village chiefs. The symbol maker is there, arguing that the law should be changed. The black-bearded man doesn't believe the law should be changed. It's been the law of their fathers, and it's got them this far. The symbol maker argues that the man who was killed is proof that there are other clans beyond the river, maybe like theirs, maybe different, but as long as the current law is in place, they'll never know what they might be missing.
The symbol maker says that these other people have things to teach them, and we can teach them as well. He wants to mount an expedition to visit these other clans, but the seer wonders what food they can afford to give an expedition when they have so little to feed themselves.
Then the black-haired man reminds the symbol maker that he himself has now broken the law twice, once as a curious youngster and just recently to retrieve his wayward son. And now he's speaking against the law, which is no way for a man in power to act. So the black-bearded man claims the symbol maker's power for himself.
And I guess with this tribe, when you challenge another person, you automatically win their stuff.
And one of the elders confirms that this is the way.
Wow, imagine how easy it would be to become president.
The symbol maker asks that they just consider changing the law to see what happens. If he's wrong, he will gladly give up his power to the black-bearded one. But the elders say that won't be necessary, as he's already usurped his powers. The law has spoken.
The symbol maker limps away from the two of them as the bearded one gloats. And then he goes to tell his son the news. He's no longer the symbol maker, and the son is no longer the symbol maker's son.
The artist formerly known as the symbol maker says that he fought to change things, but now that he's no longer the symbol maker, he will continue to obey the law, and so must his son.
The son scoffs at the idea of them living and dying in this place just to stay safe. And then the former symbol maker says, soon the night glow will be in the right place in the sky, and then no one will withhold their voices from him anymore. Not that anyone ever stopped talking to him so far. I guess what that means is his birthday's coming up, and he'll be a man.
And so now there's a ritual to bring the teenage caveman into manhood.
There's a party for his manhood.
He's asked if he will hold to the word. Aye, says the former boy. Will you hold to the law? Aye, he says again. And with that, the boy is no longer a teenage caveman, but just a caveman.
The seer shows him a hunk of meteor rock under a white fur pelt. The boy, now a man, reaches out his hand, but gets a stinging retort from the seer. No one may touch the rock. He sends the son out to join the men of years.
As the son of the former symbol maker leaves, he's followed by the black-bearded current symbol maker, who says, you answered the questions to the ritual correctly. But he doesn't feel his answers were sincere. He believes that the boy is still curious about what lies beyond the river, and he will never give up on those feelings. The son of the former symbol maker says, look, you already took my dad's job. Do you intend to get rid of me too?
The son of the symbol maker agrees with the bearded one. The son just wants to travel around the wide world on his own to see what he can see. But then he predicts that the two of them will fight, and the results will be them killing each other. The bearded one chuckles.
As the son of the former symbol maker builds a fire, the blonde maiden comes over to try to convince him to put a ring on her finger. She suggests they could make a place of their own. He says they could do that, but there is a whole world out there to explore, with enough animals whose pelts can keep them warm, and making a permanent home here isn't really what he wants. But she tells him that they must stay here, So go and make a sleeping place on the high path.
The son is still dreaming of finding warm animal skins in the forbidden lands where the winds are fresh and smell of great things, and there are warm things to sleep on. But she demands they stay there, and, well, she wins. And if you could see her, you'd understand why she won. So the next thing we see is the son digging a hole midway up the mountain for him and his woman.
About 12 feet off the path.
The bearded one wonders why they don't just sleep in the caves with everyone else. The seer arrives to snark that there's no rule of law against it, and the bearded one slinks off, saying, "Fool."
So inside their new cave pad, the maiden is lounging on furs on the floor. The son tells her that she's kept him there a long time, but now the time has come for him to go. He must get answers about what lies beyond the river, and he will find the creature that kills with his touch and kill it.
Someone must break the law to kill that creature, and he plans to be that someone. And then he orders her to bring him some food. She refuses. She asks why must he be the one to do this?
He says that doing the safe thing and keeping the status quo prohibits change and progress. If he doesn't go now, it will be up to someone in future generations with his sense of curiosity to do it. And in the meantime, their village will stagnate. So he's got to be the one to go.
So she packs him a lunch and kisses him goodbye, and he walks off on his mission. The blonde one goes down to the ground level and tells his father where he went.
The former symbol maker then goes to his wife to let her know what's going on, and he tells her that he's going to go after his son. She protests. To venture beyond the river a second time will mean the death penalty for sure, but he insists that he's going and asks her to put aside some food for his journey. Now.
So she packs him a lunch and he leaves, telling his wife to go to the blonde one. The bearded one follows them. The wife tells the blonde one to go do something and not just stare off into space waiting for the sun to return.
It looks suspicious.
It does look suspicious.
She starts to lead the blonde one back to her own cave, but she's stopped by the current dark-haired symbol maker, who asks why she's hanging around and looking out past the river.
The wife snarks, "Is there a word against it?" "I only asked," said the bearded one sheepishly, and then the women walk off together.
Then the black-bearded man calls everyone around. "How many times will the law be broken?" he asks the crowd. Even now the boy has crossed the river, and once again his father has gone out after him. He suggests they pick up their throwing sticks and their knives and kill them both, or suffer the wrath of the gods. And the crowd cheers at this.
Everyone agrees, and a posse is formed. On the other side of the river, the son of the former symbol maker is strolling while the posse is running after him. But when the posse reaches the river, the tribe balks at breaking the law themselves.
The black-bearded one insists they must, if only to protect the law. "But who will care for the women and children should they all meet their deaths beyond the river?" asks one of the tribesmen.
This tribesman, who's played by Ed Nelson, asks how can the word be served by breaking it? The bearded one tells him that there can be no wrong in protecting the law by breaking it. Ed wonders who'll care for the women and children if they die out there, and the bearded one says they'll all die if they do nothing. So they agree to cross the river, and the chase continues.
So the son ventures on, as does his father pursuing him, and the angry cave mob pursuing them both. And pursuing the caveman is the pack of wild Great Danes on the prowl.
And then the blood beast crawls out of the woods. There's so much going on in this one scene. First the son sees it, and then his father is there and sees it too. And they both adopt a defensive stance as the beast stands at his full height.
His father tells him to get back. "You came to take me back," says the son. "At first, but now I'm here to join you." But the son says if he kills this creature now, no one ever need fear it again.
And then the men of the tribe arrive, and the bearded one says that they should just kill the son and the father now in front of the god that gives death with its touch for plausible deniability. And they probably would have done that, except the dogs attack Ed Nelson and the others.
While several members of the mob are being torn apart by the dogs, the black-bearded man runs up a tree. The son is now looking at the creature, his bow drawn, but he doesn't cast his arrow. "This is no evil thing," he says. From the tree, the black-bearded one drops a rock on the creature's head. The son spins around and shoots his arrow into the chest of the black-bearded one.
The bearded one slides down into the crotch of the tree. The son and the symbol maker and what's left of the tribe examine the god that gives death with its touch, lying prone on the ground. Ed Nelson just wants to kill something, anything. But the symbol maker says it's already dead, just like the word and the law and the bearded one. "There is no god," says the son, pulling off the blood beast's headpiece. And there's a man in there, very desiccated old man.
A different kind of man. The symbol maker's son continues to search the body and pulls out a book. He opens it up to see photographs. 2 men shaking hands, and buildings, and a mushroom cloud, but none of these are symbols that any of them recognize.
Yes, the symbol maker has no such symbols in his mind and knows not how these were made. There's pages in the book about the atomic era, and I think you can see where this is headed.
"Someday these symbols must be known," says the boy. "It is a thing of wonder."
The son asks if they should drag this man back to their caves for a cairn burial, but the symbol maker decrees that he be left here in this place. It's his place.
He says now that his people have seen the world beyond the river, that on this day a new law is made. People will purge this land of its resources. They'll take the book and try to interpret the symbols within.
They or someone may be able to translate it one day. And then they head back to the caves, and the dead man gives his backstory via a voiceover.
I and the party of 23 others were on the scientific expedition when the bombs began to fall. The terrible power of nuclear weapons was unleashed all over the world. Retaliation added to retaliation until all traces of man's works had been wiped from the face of the earth. But a few living things escaped the blast. Some grew huge beyond all reason and formed as the dinosaurs of prehistory, or took on new shapes altogether, such as the she-creature. Mad in shape and purpose. Want to interject what we saw there?
It's a clip from the movie The She-Creature.
My comrades and I, half protected by our radiation suits, found ourselves given an age far beyond the span allowed. Out of all the millions of the earth, a few have escaped all harm by chance or design. After the Holocaust, the wisest of them sat down a long list of taboos. The laws are in a form of a religion now. It's strange to see them living the life of Cro-Magnon man and not knowing why. On occasion we've tried to contact them, but they feared us, and our radiation killed those who came too close. Now only I'm left, and the radiation has worn away these long, long years. Now a new one thinks and wonders about the truth of the law. Perhaps men will dare to try again. I am very lonely, very, very tired.
Then we get another voiceover, the one we heard at the beginning of the movie, piping up to say, "This happened a long time ago, and as you know, men did meet other men, and fire smelted metal, made explosives. The wheel turned machines, and made gun barrels. The towers were built and flattened. How many times will it happen again? And if it does, will any at all survive the next time, or will it be the end?" But we don't have to wonder, because that's the end.
You are listening to the American International Podcast, and we're discussing Teenage Caveman from 1958.
Teenage Caveman was the title chosen by American International Pictures. Roger Corman's preferred title for the movie was Prehistoric World. In Samuel Arkoff's autobiography, he wrote that after Corman's Viking Women versus the Sea Serpent, they began looking for a project for Roger whose title would take advantage of the word teenage. Eventually, we settled on the title Teenage Caveman, although it was a choice with which Roger wasn't completely happy. He wanted to call the film Prehistoric World, which I abhorred. Arkoff told Corman that there was nothing new or novel about Prehistoric World. You could find exhibitions titled that in museums everywhere. And besides, by the end of the film, the audience realizes that they aren't looking at prehistoric men, but survivors of a modern-day atomic holocaust. Arkoff complained that Corman was still a late convert to fully understanding the teenage market.
Hollywood's Valley Times said that production was underway on Prehistoric World in April of 1958. That same month, the LA Times announced that Robert Vaughn won the role of the male lead. In May of 1958, the Los Angeles Mirror announced that Beach Dickerson, Ed Nelson, and Charles Thompson had all been cast in feature roles in Prehistoric World. June Jocelyn's casting was announced a little later in the month.
Filming on Teenage Caveman began in May of 1958, and the budget for the film was $70,000, according to Arkoff. Most of Teenage Caveman was shot at Bronson Canyon. The quicksand scene was shot at the Arboretum in Arcadia, which was just across the street from the Santa Anita racetrack. Other scenes were shot at Iverson Ranch and in Griffith Park.
Robert Vaughn was injured twice during filming, causing him to miss days on set. He cut his foot when he stepped on a broken glass bottle, and another day he was bitten by one of the dogs, again sending him to a medical clinic.
According to Arkoff, the deer that Robert Vaughn's character kills in the movie was borrowed from, quote, a local moose or elks club, because although the script called for him to kill a deer, they didn't have one. They were shooting in downtown Los Angeles. It wasn't deer season, and they didn't have any money in the budget for a deer carcass. So Corman sent one of his assistants in search of a taxidermy deer.
Beach Dickerson, a Corman regular, plays 4 roles in Teenage Caveman and is killed on screen in 3 of them. He is the fair-haired boy that drowns in quicksand, the man on horseback that is impaled by Frank Takova's character, and he's in the bear suit when that animal is killed by the clan's hunters. He also plays a drummer playing at the funeral for his character, the fair-haired boy.
According to Dickerson, he didn't know he was going to be portraying all of those roles. Every time he finished a death scene, Corman surprised him with a costume for his next role. When Dickerson objected to being the man from the burning plains, because he wasn't a stuntman and he would have to fall onto a solid granite ground, Corman told him, "You're just as capable of falling off a horse as anyone." Dickerson retorted that, "Yeah, and this is going to save you $50.
Modern sources indicate that the film used stock footage from the 1939 United Artists release 1 Million BC and the 1948 Film Classics Inc. release Unknown Island. Also, Roger Corman had used the same pack of wild dogs in 1957's The Saga of the Viking Women and their voyage to the waters of the Great Sea Serpent.
And in another instance of repurposing, the stranger's monster suit, used to hide his identity, and we've said this before, is the same one that appears in Gene Corman's production Night of the Blood Beast, also released in 1958 by American International. And Roger Corman was the executive producer on that film.
And the same actor appeared in the costume in both films. Teenage Caveman was released on July 1st, 1958. It was the second film on a double bill with How to Make a Monster. Taglines for Teenage Caveman include, "Nuclear holocaust has destroyed the world as we know it, and now the future of humanity is in the hands of Teenage Caveman.
Prehistoric lovers against primitive beasts.
The future of humanity is in his hands.
Filmed in Superama.
prehistoric rebels against prehistoric monsters.
Variety said of Teenage Caveman that it was obviously a low-budget picture, and that, in theatrical terms, it doesn't always sustain, but the message is handled with restraint and good taste, and gives substance to the production. The screenplay tends to get a little heavily symbolic at times, but at least its symbols are fresh and thoughtful, and the ending is provocative.
Jeffrey Warren of the Los Angeles Times said Teenage Caveman was a better movie than its co-feature, How to Make a Monster. Without the epilogue, Teenage would have closed with an impact unusual in a low-budget production. However, the 10-cent title notwithstanding, this is an interesting picture, and judged within the context of its intent, remarkably good.
The Hamilton, Ontario Spectator's review of Teenage Caveman said, "It was inevitable that someday an attempt would be made to show what a teenager had to put up with in the prehistoric world. Thanks to producer-director Roger Corman, his low-budgeted effort has turned out to be a plea for international cooperation in terms of the danger of atomic radiation."
Harrison's Reports, a guide for movie exhibitors, reviewed Teenage Caveman, saying, "This melodrama might have some attraction for children because of the scenes showing fights between prehistoric beasts, but it is doubtful if it will make much of an impression on adult moviegoers, for it is too fantastic."
Roger Corman never liked the AIP title Teenage Caveman. Years after its release, he was quoted as saying, "I never directed a film called Teenage Caveman." Corman thought the movie was good, though, but thought it could have been genuinely good if the budget was larger. Robert Vaughn, however, was later quoted as saying this was the worst film he ever made.
And he made Superman 3.
At least he didn't make Superman 4.
Teenage Caveman was featured on the 3rd season of Mystery Science Theater 3000. In the Amazing Colossal Episode Guide, Mary Jo Peele said of the film, "Robert Vaughn plays a 30-something teenage caveman. Even though it was painstakingly crafted over the course of 2 days, it exceeds the legal limit of Jonathan Haze, and Roger Corman fully realizes its sole location. Approximately 60 minutes long, it manages to drag out just under 8 hours." She also wrote that no other human in any other film in our world's history has ever been as loathsome as Frank Kova was in this film.
Hard to argue with that.
So, Cheryl, going over the reviews at the time, a lot of them seemed to be surprisingly positive for this film.
Yeah, I was really surprised too. And I didn't find a lot of reviews. Maybe there were people who had opinions that were negative, and I just didn't find those articles. But wow, this is a dumb movie.
Well, I think you kind of have to look at it at the time it came out. We're watching it having already seen Planet of the Apes, which basically does the same story, but a lot better.
That's true. And honestly, the first time I saw this movie was the Mystery Science Theater version. So I was already predisposed to laugh at this. In one way, it's kind of like a drawn-out Twilight Zone episode with a surprise twist ending. It's just something that if you think about it, it makes no sense.
Well, what really doesn't make sense is that the radiation suit this guy is wearing looks like a blood beast from Night of the Blood Beast.
He just raided a Hollywood costume shop, and that was his radiation suit.
I guess in the original treatment, he was wearing a spacesuit, a radiation suit or something, and had a helmet on.
And it mutated because of the radiation?
No, it was written that way, but because it was Corman and he had to put a creature in your movie, it was changed for the actual film.
Wasn't Night of the Blood Beast made after this one? And didn't Night of the Blood Beast use the suit from this movie and not the other way around?
I believe you're right. But what I'm saying is that they just used a creature suit instead of a regular spacesuit so that they could have a creature in the film.
Right.
They could have still called it a creature if it had a spacesuit with a helmet on, but that wouldn't be as shocking to the audience because we would have a better idea of what was going on. So that would spoil the ending.
It totally would have spoiled the ending. And that is the only reason why the god that gives death with its touch didn't just take off its headpiece and say, "Hey, I'm a dude like you," even though I'm a dried up old man.
Well, the man from the Burning Plains tried to do the same thing and he got immediately speared. So maybe taking off your helmet wouldn't have been much of a help.
Maybe he should have got off his horse and said peace before he got close enough to get speared. But he seemed to be injured. And
he was knocked off his horse.
He could have gotten off his horse, what I'm saying. He could have stayed back, approached, get off the horse and say, "Hey, I'm a guy, I'm a person, I come in peace." And instead, everyone just comes up in the most threatening way possible to these primitive and superstitious people. And I guess they're surprised when they get killed.
I think maybe he wasn't with the creature that kills with his touch. I think he was from another clan somewhere else. The man from the Burning Plains, I don't think he was.
Oh, no.
Because
I don't think they're related at all.
Radiation suits. He was just another guy from another clan who was exploring beyond his side of the river.
Exactly. I know that. But I'm just saying that no one had seen a horse before in this tribe. So he could have gotten off his horse and proved that he was not a thing attached to a beast, that he was just a person like they are. He looked like a person. He didn't look like, he looked exactly like the fair-haired boy, to be honest. But then they have to have these contrivances or the movie goes nowhere.
Yeah, barely goes anywhere to begin with.
That is true. And I have to confess now that I wanted to do this movie, and it'd been a long time since I'd seen it, and I'd only seen it on Mystery Science Theater. Part of the reason why I picked it is because here in the studio we have posters of some of the movies, and most of the movies on those posters we have done for the podcast, and that's one of the ones we hadn't yet. So I'm like, we should do that one. We should eventually get all our poster movies done. it's not really a good enough reason to do this movie. It's so silly. And it's funny seeing Robert Vaughn, who is a more respectable actor than this role deserves, doing the silly caveman speak.
Yeah, it's frustrating that none of the characters had names. I'd rather be calling somebody Grog than the curly-haired boy.
The symbol maker who's no longer the symbol maker and thus has no name.
Yeah, that was complicated.
That was hard on us. I said earlier that this is the second movie in a row we've had where people didn't have given names. The last one was Girly with Mumsy, Nanny, Sunny, and Girly, new friend. And here we're doing it again, but it's even more convoluted. If they can do symbols, and the importance of symbols means so much to them, aren't names symbolic of who you are, what your identity is, not just what you do?
Do you think this came early enough in the cycle of films that the ending maybe did blow some people's minds?
I don't know that minds would be blown, like on an atomic level. I think that people would be like, oh, wow, neat twist. What do you think?
I think maybe as they were watching it, they think, oh, that's kind of cool. But I don't think it's something that they would carry with them and think about throughout their day.
And be careful to not spoil the amazing twist ending of Teenage Caveman when you speak of it to your friends, and you will speak of it.
Well, one of the taglines we said gave it away. Nuclear holocaust has destroyed the world as we know it, and now the future of humanity is in the hands of Teenage Caveman. That's kind of a big spoiler.
Yeah, I didn't actually see that in very many of the ads. And it may have been in a reissue of the movie.
Probably more likely. It's kind of wordy for a tagline of the time.
Especially in a movie that's a double feature where it's going to be sharing space with How to Make a Monster and its taglines. It's art. I am dying to know what the bearded man's deal is. I guess he wants more power in the tribe, but he goes at it by railing on this kid who does something dumb. He makes it his entire personality. It is so irritating how he's always harping on about this.
Well, Robert Vaughn's character is next in line for the job, so he has to kind of get rid of him too. He's like working both of them at once.
Yeah, but he does get rid of both of them, and he still is going on about it. He's still always mad at something and somebody. He's mad at strangers. He's mad at the symbol maker. He's mad at the sun.
Every time you refer to the sun, I can forget who you're talking about. I'm thinking of the sun in the sky every time. He's mad at the sun.
That's the fire in the sky. Calling him the bearded one. He's the only one of the men with no job.
No, he has a job now because he's the symbol maker. Well, until he dies.
Yeah.
I assume that he retired at that point.
I don't think he made a single symbol in his tenure. I can kind of see why in that amazing Colossal Episode guide that Mary Jo Peele wrote that he's the most loathsome character ever to grace film. I don't think that's true. I can think of a dozen people that are much worse. But in the context of this movie, yes, he is supremely annoying.
So Cheryl, given all that and what sounds to be a fairly negative impression of Teenage Caveman, how does that equate to a rating using our AIP scale where A is awesome, I is intermediate, and P is pathetic?
This is not a great movie, but it's a fun movie. I just don't know if it's fun enough to bump it up to A status. I think I have to leave it at I, but I think you can make a case for making it an A movie because as bad movies go, it was bad enough to be in Mystery Science Theater 3000, and sometimes that's a mark in its favor. I just don't have any other justification for giving it an A. It's definitely not pathetic to me because it made me laugh and it is really short. So for those reasons, it hits in the middle for me and it's an I. What do you think?
I haven't seen his entire oeuvre, but I've always considered this to be one of, if not the worst Roger Corman film.
I doubt that very much.
I just think it's dull, which is an unforgivable sin in a film, especially something from AIP, which puts stuff out there to entertain and make money. Mm-hmm. Who's going to pay to see a dull movie?
Teenagers? Because it has the word teenage in it.
I guess maybe you can trick them into doing that.
I don't think any teenagers enjoyed this, though.
I was leaning toward a P, but I'm going to bump it up a little for the message it tries to convey and for probably being ahead of its time in doing that and trying to do this trick ending with this is a future civilization. We tricked you the whole time. Ha ha. So I'm going to give it an I as well. I'm not sure it's totally deserving.
It's funny. You give it a low end on the I scale and I give it a high on the I scale, but we still hit in the middle.
So I guess we agree that this movie is average at best.
It could have been better. Could have been worse. Unlike the Teenage Caveman, you and I and Jeff here are living in a pre-post-apocalyptic timeline. And that means you and I and Jeff all have access to the World Wide Web. And that's exactly where you can find our website, AIPpod.com. That's where you can find trailers, lobby cards, and posters, as well as where to watch the movies that we're covering on the podcast. There's a link to all our past episodes and a place where you can see the list of films we need your help locating. You can contact us there and also find our store. A purchase of one of our fine items helps us keep the podcast and our site alive, and you can find it all at AIPpod.com.
Well, that about does it for this week's trip to the Stone Age. This has been the American International Podcast, and I'm Jeff Markin.
I'm Cheryl Lightfoot.
And we'll meet you at the drive-in. Follow the American International Podcast on Instagram and Letterboxd at AIP_pod and on Facebook at facebook.com/American International Podcast.
The American International Podcast is produced and edited by Jeff Markin.
A man whose mind is distorted by hatred.
And Cheryl Lightfoot.
A girl hungry for too many things.
The American International Podcast is part of the Pop Culture Entertainment Network.